Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another First Impressions video, and today we're going to be taking a look at Luftrausers. This title was sent to me by Playstation Portugal so that I could give it a look and tell you guys my personal opinions on it. The footage that you guys are watching on screen right now is going to be PlayStation Vita footage, because to be completely honest, I wasn't all that satisfied with the PlayStation 3 version. So let's start by talking about the title, and then I'll get into kind of like more details as to why I wasn't that big of a fan of the PlayStation 3 version. This title is a shooter, and as far as I can tell, you're going to be playing pretty much on the same level over and over, because your main objective is going to be unlocking different combinations that you can apply to your plane. The plane is separated into three distinct sections. You got the gun that you're shooting, you got the body of the plane, and you got the engine. And there are multiple combinations that you're going to be able to unlock, which will greatly vary the playstyle when you will be tackling the level. As you guys have no doubt noticed by now, the commentary on this video is post-commentary, because the game is pretty hectic. It is very chaotic, and I could see myself getting completely lost in the action as opposed to actually telling you guys about the title itself. So what are you going to be doing when you actually start braving the skies of Luftrausers? Well, you're going to be shooting down planes, you're going to be dodging bullets, you're going to be shooting down missiles, you're going to be trying to shoot down boats. Those are actually a little bit more challenging. And you guys might notice that depending on where the background footage is at the moment, you guys might notice that I do tend to ram against things quite a bit. That is because ramming is actually somewhat of a valid technique in Luftrausers. You are allowed to basically ram into anything so long as your plane can take it. There is a regeneration mechanic. You guys will notice that every now and then you will see like a white circle forming around my plane. Well, not around the plane. How should I explain this? There's going to be white all over the screen. There's going to be just like a little circle on top of my plane. That means that I'm about to die. If the screen is completely filled with white, you're dead. If you stop shooting, your plane regenerates. So those are kind of like the mechanics, which is why a lot of times you will see me actually go up against boats and just like trying to blow them up by ramming into them. Like I said, that is a valid mechanic, and as far as I can tell, there is absolutely no penalty for playing the game that way. As a matter of fact, there are certain bodies for your plane that actually support that particular playstyle. Like, if you look at my plane, most of the time that I've spent playing, I've used the really fat body for the plane, because that increases the amount of health that you have available. There are other chassis which allow you to deal more damage when you actually ram stuff. There are chassis that allow you to take no damage when you're ramming stuff. So like I said, ramming into stuff is a valid way of playing the game. Now, having said this, you really should never ram into bullets, because bullets will always do damage, and a lot of times you'll be like, no, I can take a couple of shots, and then you'll just get utterly killed. Now, some of the more challenging enemies that I've fought so far are definitely the battleships. The battleships will just shoot a barrage of bullets at you, and they're very hard to actually dodge, depending on how good you are at the title, obviously, because better players that are used to all those twitch reflexes and shooters and stuff, those players are going to be a lot better than other players that are not used to this kind of twitch gameplay. Now, the way that the controls work is you press up in order to thrust your plane, and you press left or right to rotate it, which is why I actually found it was a lot easier to play the title if you use the D-pad as opposed to actually using the analog stick, because sometimes I was in the middle of the air and it would become somewhat confusing. Like, what do I want to do now? Do I want to push the stick up? Do I want to push it down because I just want to like turn my plane around? No. So I felt it was kind of easier playing with the D-pad. Then apart from that, the only other thing that you do is shoot. There is an engine that you can get that works as a gun. So like when you thrust that specific engine, it actually shoots a gun from below your plane, but that makes it really hard to actually fly the plane. So there is somewhat of how should I put this, your ship gets kind of pushed when you're shooting, so in the opposite direction of where there's recoil. Yes, that's the word that I was looking for. There is a little bit of recoil, which is kind of like the theory of how that particular engine works. It's just that engine has a lot more recoil than any of the other weapons, but there's definitely a recoil there. So like if you're falling down and you start shooting directly down, your ship does slow down its rhythm of descent. You're allowed to go into the water. You're going to be taking damage while you're in the water unless you use a specific engine which is actually designed for you to fight in the water, which is a lot of fun. There's just a ton of combinations that you can do with these planes, and the objective remains pretty much the same. Survive as long as you can, chain together combos, because the way that the score works is the more stuff you kill, the faster you kill it. You're going to get like a multiplier. I think it goes all the way to times 20, and when you get to that point, everything that you kill is going to give you 20 times the score it would. So obviously your objective is going to be get the times 20 and then just kill as much stuff as you possibly can without losing your streak. Now obviously you can lose your streak if it takes you too long to kill something else. But yeah, this is pretty much Luftrausers in a nutshell, and I know that at this point you guys are thinking, so that's it? That's the whole game? And yeah, it is, but trust me, once you get into it, it is a lot of fun. Now let me tell you guys about the two different versions that I've played. The footage that you're watching throughout most of this video is going to be PlayStation Vita. The two versions that I played were the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 3. And why didn't I like the PlayStation 3 version as much? For starters, it seemed that the game was not properly optimized for the PlayStation 3, if that can be said, because this is a very simple game, let's be honest here. And what was happening was I was getting a little bit of an inconsistent frame rate. Like you will notice whenever you ram into something, the frame rate kind of drops a little bit here and there. Like on the PlayStation 3, that was really, it was a lot more accentuated than on the PlayStation Vita. The other thing is, for some reason, which I find really weird, the PlayStation 3 version is actually on a 4:3 aspect ratio, which I thought, well, it would be something if the PlayStation Vita version was also in 4:3, but it's not. The Vita version is fine. So I didn't really understand the reason behind it, which is why I kind of ended up capturing footage from the PlayStation Vita instead. Also, the PlayStation Vita's version seemed to run a lot more fluid than the PlayStation 3 version. It just seemed that the PlayStation 3 version was either rushed, or I don't know if it's just something that I'm the only one that's experiencing these difficulties, but I highly doubt it. The PlayStation Vita was just better in every single aspect of it, which is why I played the PlayStation Vita a whole lot more. So the game is a lot of fun. I would definitely advise, like, if you guys like the footage that you're watching in the background, you will more than likely enjoy the title. The soundtrack is awesome. I really like both the sounds and the soundtrack. They have a retro vibe to it, mixed in with a couple of modern, whatever type of music you want to call that. I really like it, which is why it feels like a really solid game. And it feels like a game that you can actually sink quite a bit of time into. It also seems like it's the perfect time killer. So like when you're doing something and you're like, I need to take like a 5-minute break, you need to relax a little bit, go play Luftrauser 5 minutes, you're good. Because the way the game works, it's a lot about repetition. So it's like, you'll play one round, you'll die. Sometimes you'll die 30 seconds in, sometimes you'll die 10 seconds in, because it seems that the enemy generation is somewhat random and it is not fixed. So sometimes you might die a couple of seconds in, other times it might take you longer time to die. But regardless, it's very fast to get back into the action. I mean, the controls work like when you're in a menu after a mission, you just press up and it immediately launches your ship again to the next mission. If you want to check the rankings and the scores, if you're going to do the whole leaderboard thing, you can also click left every single time after a match. That takes you to the rankings and online rankings and your friend rankings and all that stuff. And if you want to go to the hangar to customize your plane, you just click right. So the controls are very, very simple, and that leads you to basically go from match to match super fast. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Hotline Miami in that regard, because it's like you're planning the way that you're going to be doing things in Hotline Miami, and then you die, and then you press R and you instantly restart and you're good to go again. And sometimes you're even just like, you press R and instantly get in there and start killing people again. This, I feel, is kind of in the same vein as that. Now, you guys might be wondering, so the objective is just to wander around aimlessly killing stuff? It's not just that. There's some objectives, like, for instance, kill 5 enemy planes without dying. kill a certain number of battleships in the same match without dying, kill a certain number of battleships total, kill a certain number of enemies total, and you're going to be completing these as you do, multiple missions, and the more you get better at the title. But again, at the end of the day, it's going to be pretty much the same stuff that you're watching here, except maybe even more chaotic the more you get into it. Something that I also found was really satisfying was a body section that I picked up as I was doing the video here, which was the nuke body section, which basically when your plane dies, it explodes and destroys everything that's on screen. That's the only way I've been able to take out battleships. And I know that anyone who's played Luftrausers is probably going to come in here, oh wow, Rurikhan, you really suck. You only killed battleships with nukes. Wow, that's terrible. And I'm like, well, that's too bad. There's also a laser from the guns that I found. There's like a scattershot type of gun. What are the guns that I find? Oh yeah, there was a homing missile, which would throw 4 homing missiles at your enemies. That was also pretty fun. What else? There was the fat body type that would give you more health. There was the body type that would give you more damage, which was also the nuke. It would give you more damage for ramming. There was the body type that would make you not receive damage for doing melee. And then you have the different engines. There's an engine that allows you to go underwater and shoot from under the water. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of variety to the gameplay. And by variety, I mean variety in the way that you can change your plane to do completely different things. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still shooting, but trust me, when you switch weapons, your playstyle is going to vary a lot. But apart from that, yeah, it's pretty much just go ahead, shoot, get a lot of score. That's all there really is to it. As per usual, leave me your comments, feedback, all that kinds of good stuff in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys